Today on episode 28 of the Reaper Paranormal Show, we're going to discuss Myrtles Plantation, the ghost reel. And we got a special guest. Stay tuned. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Roy, the host, and I'm joined by my co-host and RPI team member, Tim. What's going on, Tom?
Nothing. What's going on, Roy? How you doing?
Not much. It's actually cool being together. We're not wearing masks and social distancing and blah, 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 blah.
We are both vaxxed, by the way.
Yes, both vaccinated.
We are both fully vaxxed
yes.
as well. But there is a gap in between us as well.
There's a wall.
I still wear my mask in public. I do. Even though I don't have to, in a lot of places. Some places are still requiring it, and that's their right. They're private businesses.
No, are you finding that if you didn't wear the mask, you feel naked? Because I know I'm not wearing it, and I feel so naked when I walk into the store.
Yeah, a little bit. My chin's cold sometimes because it's down there a lot. But no, yeah, because I know there are some people that aren't vaxxed, and they're not going to tell people and stuff. So, and it's habit. They didn't really bother me. I understand if they bothered you. I'm not saying, you know what I mean? I don't. I understand that. But it never really bothered me, the masks. So I'm still wearing them in public. At work, I just found out, the guy texted me because I was off yesterday, starting the 12th, I think he said July 12th, we can stop wearing masks at work. So
we're actually gotten to the point where we don't have to wear face shields, I believe, or it's supposed to be coming. We literally don't have to. In my job, I work in the medical profession, and when we deal with patients, we have to wear goggles or a shield.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we were just told by the state that we don't have to do that anymore.
Nice.
So we're getting there.
Yeah,
it's
good.
All right, so we got an interesting show for us today, Myrtles Plantation.
Yeah.
I do my research on the paranormal aspect of it, and I found it was very interesting on some of the weird stuff I found out, which we'll get into. So, but you want to kick us off with some of the historical?
Yeah, I'll just go just real brief, because if we went through every owner of this plantation, it would be a whole other show. And you
can look it up yourself if you want to know everyone who owned the plantation.
Yeah, it's on Wikipedia. It's also there's a lot of great articles.
Stop being lazy. Look it up yourself.
Yeah, there's a lot of great articles too, just about the place that you can find if you just do a quick Google search. But we'll give you a real brief before we kind of get into the hauntings. And I was excited for this one, Roy, because like you had said, we've been watching these horror movies that deal with race so much that it kind of ties in. So.
It's a place I'd like to go and investigate too. It's a historical place.
Yes, it would be really cool. And it's an antebellum plantation in St. Francisville, Louisiana. So another great movie, by the way, Antebellum. Mm-hmm. That was an excellent movie.
Amazing. I love that movie.
It was just, oh yeah. You should definitely check it out.
You should do a review on that, actually.
We should. Oh, for sure. That was great. It was great. So it was built in 1796, and sorry, I did forget my written notes, and everybody that listens knows that I'm old school and write out my notes, and I forgot them.
Yeah, because if you hear all the rattling in the background of our shows, it's his fault.
It's and I messed up my back as well. I have an ice pack on, but I apologize that they're not as thorough as normal. But so yeah, so it was built in 1796 by David Bradford. And it is touted as one of America's most haunted homes. There are, there's a variety of legends surrounding the Myrtles. It was reportedly built over an Indian burial ground, and the ghost of a young Native American woman has been reported. But yeah, it was built over that. So So General Bradford lived there alone for several years until President John Adams pardoned him for his role in the Whiskey Rebellion in 1799. Once he was pardoned, he moved his wife Elizabeth and their 5 children to the plantation from Pennsylvania. Upon Bradford's death in 1808, his widow Elizabeth continued running the plantation, and then she passed it off, the management, to Clark Woodruff, and this is where we would begin to get into just a lot of different owners. So I'm just going to skip a bunch. The Woodruffs had 3 children, and 2 of the 3 children. So this is will lead into some of the hauntings later. 2 of the 3 children actually died there in 1823 and 1824, respectively, of yellow fever.
Okay, because one of the hauntings deals with specifically how the haunting supposedly happened, and it wasn't yellow fever, which we'll get into all that stuff about what we discussed earlier. But yeah, it's very what you think might not be what is, so to speak. So we'll get into that. So I'm glad you brought that up. It's a very interesting thing that I found out also that I was going to mention, but I'm glad you brought that up. But anyway, sorry to cut you off.
No, that's a great point. That's great. So then, okay, so then Elizabeth Bradford died in 1831. The family moved, and eventually, Catherine Cobb undertook an extensive remodeling of the house. She doubled the size of the building,
which can stir up paranormal stuff. Actually,
yes, that's why it was like I was like, I don't need that, but that's like I knew you were going to say that. So, honestly, this was the time that the name was officially changed to the Myrtles, and then Sterling died in 1854, and basically it changes hands, and then we have William Drew Winter, who you have some stuff about later. So he helps manage the plantation, and as her lawyer and agent, and he's there doing that. And they have financial issues because now we're in the Civil War. That's down in the South. They're using Confederate currency, which became worthless as soon as they were sent packing for their treason.
But I feel bad for the people that are hoarding their money. The Confederate.
Yeah. I'm gonna be rich. So rich after the war.
That'd be me. I'd be saving everything. I'd have millions of dollars, and they'd be like worthless.
Yeah,
that'd be my luck.
So, and and then like I said, we change owners, and I just don't want to get too boring on this. It's changed. In the 20th century, it was remodeled a little bit, cleaned up a little bit, and then we saw, it's a lot of these owners in the, and I want to see what you think. It doesn't really. Just the history of it, it doesn't get too horrific because, like you said, it's an antebellum plantation. But you told me that there was supposedly no slaves.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, it doesn't get mentioned at all. No slave, nothing in this history you find is about
weird, isn't it?
So it's
like a plantation with no slaves working the plantation.
Yeah, and like when you think about
especially down south.
And you think about a haunted plantation, you think it would be haunted because of all that negative energy from slavery and all the atrocities that they committed. And
I had never looked up the history or anything. You just hear the Myrtles Plantation. All these paranormal teams have been there, and it's supposed to massively haunted, and blah blah blah. And you have to look up the history. It's like, what's going on? And when we get to the paranormal stuff,
which we're going to get into right now, because it's like some bits with the family. You know what I mean? It's that surprised me. I would have thought it would have been like very angry slave spirits there, when people are calling it the most haunted home in the United States.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you want to start talking about some
of
these?
Sure. Like I'm just saying, it's actually considered one of the most haunted places in America, in the whole nation. And supposedly, if you believe the paranormal history, there were at least 12 murders in the house. Supposedly, well, I shouldn't say 12 murders, 12 ghosts in the house, and 10 murders. Historical records only indicate one murder of factuality, which is William Winter. And Unsolved Mysteries was actually there in 2001.
That's cool.
Doing an episode there. There have been a couple episodes. And they had massive technical difficulties during production, and that can happen if you have a paranormal event happening, and the spirit is trying to come through. And how spirits interact, one of the theories is they pull energy from us or electrical devices like video cameras, audio recorders, monitors, and they drain the energy from that so they can come through and be active with us, whether it be making knocking sounds or
so
voices.
Was it the video was not like recording?
It just had
difficulties.
Batteries would die.
Okay.
Things wouldn't be working correctly. Like I have a light on right here. For instance, the battery would just drain. It would just shut off because there's no battery left because the spirit was draining. They need a lot of energy to spirits for to come through.
And it's Unsolved Mysteries, so they have good equipment because they were like legit, And by the way, they actually have now an Unsolved Mysteries podcast, and I've been listening to it. Yes,
that's pretty cool.
It's
like the people from the show.
Well, he passed away,
right.
And they did the opening music's kind of like a little remix of, but it's got that, it's still the underlying, which is iconic. The Unsolved.
I was wondering if it was connected with the show.
I mean, some of the episodes, but it's pretty interesting. I like it. I
love podcasts because like you can do a podcast and not listen to every episode.
Yes.
The episodes that you want to listen to.
Exactly.
Which our episode show. You listen to all our episodes because they're awesome.
Yes, I do. I listen to all of them.
So one of the big spirits that supposedly haunted the place was a slave owned by Clark and Sarah Woodruff, which Tom had mentioned. And one story is Clark Woodruff supposedly pressured and or forced Chloe into being his mistress. Another story would be she was listening to conversations secretly and passing information to the north. And supposedly when that happened, that Clark and Sarah cut her ear off. And she would wear a green turban to hide that fact that she didn't have an ear anymore. And one of the stories is that she baked a cake with poison in it as revenge, supposedly baked the cake. And historical records don't support any of this, surprise, surprise. And Tom said that the mother also just the kids passed away from some disease.
Yellow fever.
I
had the kid. The mother may have, but I know for sure the two kids.
Well, the story was she made a cake with some poison, and the mother and the kids ate it, and they died from this. Which Tom just said that's not what happened. They died from yellow fever. At least the kids did. So, and the story is she killed the mother and the two girls. Well, in factuality, that didn't happen. So,
or this could be wrong.
Which is possible.
It is possible. I use a lot of different. I use a lot of different sources too, and we all know that sometimes. And sometimes I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I go on Wikipedia, and it's not the what I mean. It's not always the most accurate Wikipedia. Right. Mm-hmm. So I don't remember exactly where I got the yellow fever from, but
I've heard that from several locations also. It was yellow fever. There's actually even no record historically of them owning any slaves. Whether they're actually true or not, we don't know. Because why would you have a plantation and there are no slaves, or you don't own any slaves on the plantation? So where are these slaves coming from? That poses another question.
Especially it's an antebellum plantation, and it's we're talking about before, during, you know what I mean, and after some plantations had slaves, even after the war ended, you know what I mean, and because it took a long time for word to travel, stuff like that, So it's
Oh, by the way, happy Juneteenth, by the way.
Yes,
today is Juneteenth. Yes. If you know what that is, the day that slaves were actually freed theoretically, like Tom said, it took a while for them to actually be free.
Yes.
And from what I remember from historical records or history, that some of the slaves didn't even know they were even free for a couple of years.
Oh, I
They
believe
had
that.
no clue for a couple of years that they were even free. So that's pretty amazing in itself. Like, this is the day it happened, but 2 years later they found out that, hey, oh, by the way, you've been free for 2 years. I'd be like, fuck you, I'm getting out of here.
Well, I mean, back then there's instances like after wars ended back then, there would still be battles. Like if there was a big war
Right.
on a lot of fronts, there would still be battles.
They wouldn't know what was over.
Because it took so long to get or they're
Not
on
like
horseback.
today.
You know what I
get
mean?
a cell phone.
Yeah, exactly. They were on horseback, so it took a long time. So, which is kind of crazy. You think it's like you won the war. Well, that even happened. We're getting off on a tangent, but that happened like in the Vietnam War and stuff, and some of the wars in the jungle. People, years later,
Yep, still fighting,
not
Still
realizing because they were so deep in the jungle.
Mm-hmm.
So interesting.
Yep. So apparently, Chloe supposedly haunts the plantation wearing a green turban. So take it for what you will. People claim today during tours that they see her. If you go on Google and search the Myrtles Plantation, pictures, you can look up pictures and they'll show what supposedly a woman wearing a green turban. I looked at some of the pictures. I'm skeptical, but look for yourself, see what you think. I should have pulled some up if I wasn't thinking about it. But look them up, check it out, see the pictures for yourself, and let us know what you think. Did it happen? Did Chloe even exist? Who knows?
Yeah.
I
want to go. Really.
Yeah, it could be fun to investigate regardless. So another spirit is supposed to be of a Native American woman. Now, supposedly, the house was built over an Indian burial ground.
Yes.
And during the Civil War, the house was ransacked by Union soldiers. Supposedly, 3 people were killed, and there was a blood stain in the doorway of one of the rooms, and the blood was supposedly the size of a human body. Legend is that when you try to clean that area of the house, or the area where the blood stain was supposed to be, you weren't able to push the mop into that area to actually clean it. I don't know if I believe that either.
What's your problems with that?
That you can't push a mop or a broom into the area that supposedly haunted.
What happens if you do?
Nothing happens. The mob won't go there. You it just stops. You're not able to push it any further.
Well, I know we got to test when we go there.
There you go.
I'll buy the mop or broom, and we will.
I'm gonna go mop shop.
Yeah, I'll see if I can mop that floor. I think it's just a trick for them to get you to try to clean their house.
I should do that.
They change each room. It's like, no, it was over here. This room.
Oh,
you can't.
that corner over there. They're spread it around further.
Yeah. I bet you can't mop that corner.
The person was 7 feet tall, 400 pounds, so it spread up the whole area. Yeah. So another spirit was supposed to be of a young girl. Apparently died in 1868, despite being treated by a voodoo practitioner. She appears in the room that she died in and practices voodoo on people when they're sleeping in that room. Now, I want that room. I want someone to do voodoo on me. That'd be fun.
Yes. Now, what's your thoughts on voodoo?
I feel the same as witchcraft. I think I don't disprove anything. I think anything's possible. I think it's more of a religion thing, and I think if people believe something enough, they can make it happen, so to speak. So I do what's called Reiki, and what Reiki is it's energy transference, where you can pull energy from somebody. And I think the brain and the mind is an amazing thing, and if you think something's working for you, it can start working for you. Isn't that thing working? I don't know. I do know as far as Reiki goes, I'm a skeptical person. I don't, like I said, disbelieve anything. And I was becoming a Reiki practitioner because I'm also a massage therapist. And we were doing the class, And I had a bad shoulder from working, blah, blah, blah. And during a 2-day class, the teacher found that I had an issue with my shoulder, which I didn't say anything, and I wasn't laboring because I actually was feeling pretty good that weekend. It was a little sore, but nothing that I couldn't deal with. And by the end of the 2 days, my shoulder was healed. I had no more pain. Haven't had pain since. This was like 15 years ago. Haven't had pain in that area since. And she said, well, you have issues in this area. Let's work on that. And then took care of it. It was gone. Now, like I said, I wasn't thinking there was anything was going to become of it, but it felt better. So is the mind over matter? Did it work? Who knows? It felt better, so that's all I cared about.
I've heard good things about Reiki. And yeah, even if it is the mind doing it, that's a pretty powerful thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, voodoo fascinates me. I mean, I know they've sort of proved the whole or come to a conclusion with a lot of the voodoo zombies that it's drug. You know what I mean? That kind of what I mean puts you out and stuff.
Yep.
But it still fascinates me, and like you said, as religion and stuff, it's very, very cool.
So now we get to the crux of the matter. The one real murder that actually happened,
yes,
that's been proven to have happened, supposedly, if you believe historical documents.
Yeah.
William Drew Winter. All right. His ghost supposedly walks, staggers, or crawls up the stairs and stops on the 17th step. People say that he was the only true victim of the house. According to legend, he was shot on the front porch. And after climbing to the 17th step, he dies. Another story is that he climbs up to the 17th step where his wife was and died in her arms, which I'm assuming is just a romantic.
Yeah, that's my impression of that story. That
version of that story is also contested by people because it just sounds like a romantic thing that made up to tell the story.
Good story though.
No, very good story. It's the ones that supposedly happened. I don't know why he got shot. I don't know if he pissed somebody off or what happened, but
it was the 1800s.
Could have been a drunken thing, you know, piss somebody off, the wrong person, and I think today you piss off the wrong person, you never know what could happen. So that is the one murder that supposedly really did happen in the house, if you believe historical documents. So it's like, these are the few ghosts that we brought up that, there's history that says it didn't happen, but people are seeing stuff. So is it the brain playing tricks on them? Is it matrixing, which is people want to see something and they can't make out what it is, so the mind just takes over and goes, that's what that is. So is it a haunting? Is it not a haunting? Guess we're going to find out for our team to get over there and do an investigation. It is down south, so it'd be a trip. It'd be a fun trip. Go to a historical place.
Oh yeah, and Louisiana is so cool, and there's a lot of haunted stuff down there. I love my cousin Dave lived in New Orleans, and it's so fun down there. It's awesome.
Yeah, as a paranormal investigator, you hear that these aren't true, these aren't real. Doesn't mean it's not haunted. Whether it's an Indian burial ground or not. There still could be hauntings going on down there. A lot of battles happened down there from the Civil War. A lot of things happened down there. A lot of killings happened there regardless. A lot of slaves were down there. So it's like, there's a lot of history. So it's possible that things happened. And there could be ghosts on the plantation. Who's to say ghosts, slaves didn't die in the field, during the fields when they were picking the cotton or whatever. So we're not saying that it's not haunted. It's that these couple of things are saying that there's a possibility that these weren't the ones that are haunting the place.
So after doing your research and everything like that on these hauntings and stuff, what's your overall feeling on this place? You think?
I think the whole Chloe thing is a little crap. I don't think there's any girl. Well, I mean, if there is, it's not Chloe, because it seems to be everything that has been said about her. If you believe the historical documents, if they're accurate, isn't true.
Yeah.
She didn't poison anybody.
Yeah.
She didn't even exist, apparently. Like there was no slaves. Supposedly they didn't own any slaves. And another question, did they actually own slaves and they were just not public record.
That's what I was going to
You know?
say. Was it, or I mean, were
And-
they one of some plantations did indentured servants? I don't know if it was in Louisiana they did for sure, but
and who's to say they kept records of voting slaves?
Yeah,
You know,
I mean,
or how good they actually were.
they
You own a slave, whatever. I'm not going to write it down. You're all set. You know what I mean? Like, you know, they could have owned slaves, and we would never know.
because if I don't know, for me, if you own slaves and you're a big plantation and own slaves, I would think most plantations have some sort of haunting at them. Personally,
The energy that would be there.
The energy, like with these
Watch Annabelle in Annabelle, rather.
Yeah.
The energy from that movie alone, like what the girl went through, it's like holy Jesus.
Yeah. So I would think most are. And then on top of that, this was supposedly built on an Indian burial ground. So that's some even more juju, because I would tend to think that there was some sort of slave ownership in the history of this plantation. I just do, because
it's a plantation. How could they
it's a plantation. It changed hands quite a bit. After the first owners, it kind of hot potatoed after a while. So
if things get lost, I mean, that stuff happens. Things get lost in translation and history.
So I would imagine that, and then you would think at least in a home being built in 1796. So that's a few hundred years, 300 years old, whatever. You're going to have some of the residents die there, which will leave some energy too. So I definitely think there's a good potential for it. It was kind of deflating doing the research and seeing.
It was very odd. Yeah,
you don't get
that very often.
Yeah, a lot of it was like they were just getting debunked, or giving you facts to the contrary. Mm-hmm. So, but I would, being all these people, claiming stuff, experiences there and stuff.
What are they experiencing?
Yeah, there's got to be something going on. And like I said, I would tend to guess that at some point in its history there was some sort of slaves, and with that atrocity, I could only imagine what kind of just negative energy is left there, man. Like, wow.
And what do you guys think when you're listening to this? Comment on down below. If you're on our website, comment there. If you're on iTunes, comment there. Let us know what you think. Do you think it's really haunted? Do you think it's worth doing an investigation in 2021 there? Do you think Chloe's even there? That maybe that they lost some of the history of the place? Because they've changed hand a million times. Who's to say how accurate is the history? But 1700s, 1800s, how accurate is the history anyway?
Yeah, the record keeping. I mean, it wasn't great into the 1900s.
Right.
Yeah, early 1900s.
It's not great today, so in certain respects.
They always talk about that when we're trying to, when we're looking at stuff around the turn of that 19 into the 1800s into the 1900s, just like how they wish the record keeping would have been better, because then. I mean, it is. I mean, it's not great everywhere right now, but it's a lot better. I mean, we print in the fact that phones and everything, so everything is recorded now. Everything it's in this day and age.
So what do we do next week? Maybe done. Maybe we should probably talk before the show.
Oh, sorry, Anakin. Sleep. I need to stand. Oh,
we made the whole show pretty much.
Yeah, there was one point I was going to stand, and I was like, okay. I don't even have my list with me. I don't know why I was doing that. So, whatever you want, man.
I don't know what I think. That's why I put it on my notes. I love the notes thing.
Yeah, I'm just old school with my notes. I write everything down. So,
stop it.
I forgot it.
So we did Myrtles Plantation now.
Yeah, Myrtles is done. Yeah, I have my sheet, and then I just put a little check mark next to each one that we've done.
I should do that too, rather than deleting it.
Yeah, because if I delete, that's my thing. If I delete it, we'll end up doing that episode again, and I won't even realize until midway through that second episode. I'll be like, wait a minute, I think we did this.
So this is all the ones I have right here. Moundsville Penitentiary.
What was that one? I didn't hear what you said.
Moundsville Penitentiary.
Oh, okay.
Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum.
I have that one too on my list. I know that one. The Trans-Allegheny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The list goes Easton State Penitentiary, Rolling Hills Asylum.
Easton.
That's a crazy. That's like demonic.
You want to do Easton?
Let's just do Easton, I guess.
Yeah, I know you. Or do we wait for Shay on an Easton? I mean, I don't. Yeah, I'll do it. I mean, because I'm interested in Easton too. I'm interested in all of them. She did say that she texted both of us.
When we do something different, what if we did? This is just a thought.
Yeah.
Did a horror movie or like a paranormal movie,
Okay.
whether it be real or not, and do it from the perspective if we thought it was real. Not to say it's real if it's not real, but I mean, like, you know, say if the Conjuring wasn't real. Do a show like this, you just talk about it like, you know, it's not real, but we're gonna discuss it like, you know, I don't know. I don't know if that would even be good. I have no idea.
I mean, we could do a movie, and then, like I said, and do that discussion. I mean, I think it will just end up being a bigger, you know what I mean, discussion on the movie or paranormal and stuff. I mean, that's fine with me. But what movie would it be? And
what have we seen recently? We can't do Conjuring because Trey won't be there. Oh, we already did this one, Conjuring. The real story.
Yeah, we did this real story too of the Conjuring. So and
let me just pull this up. Well, Netflix first.
He slept the whole show because his foot. I had my feet up on this so I could stretch my back on the bars, and he had his paw up on my shoe, but he was dead asleep.
He's going outside soon. Going outside. Wait, the horror movies. I don't want to do that. Let's do search.
I gotta watch that Sweet Tooth. I had read some of the comics, and the comics was good. It's just I've seen the trailer for it, and it didn't look that great to me. So, but the comic was good. I missed that show. Which I only started watching because I thought you and Derek were watching, so I binged it.
What's that?
iZombie. I remember. I thought you guys had talked about it.
I thought you wanted to watch that.
Well, I did, and I ended up really liking it. But it was in the last season, I thought you guys were watching it, so binged all the 4 seasons.
Oh, we can do an episode of Haunted.
Okay.
It's not in America.
If you click on it, you can probably pick other seasons, right? Or no?
Probably. Let's see.
Episodes and more. Go to episodes and more.
Oh, yes.
And, it's only got season 1.
Oh, no. Oh, you know what? Let's try. Okay. There should be a thing for other titles.
Oh,
But nothing. Oh, there it is.
Haunted.
It's American Haunted.
Oh, okay. Oh, jeez.
No, I don't want to play episodes. God damn it, get out of that. I don't want episodes of more.
Anakin, stop.
Hey, stop! Fucking dog. I'm gonna watch the episode, you fucker.
I hate when this happens. This will happen to me on mine too. It keeps playing, and it's just I just want to read the fucking episodes. Episodes and more. Okay. So, Woman in White, Slaughterhouse, Demon in the Dark, Barn Kurt.
What's the first season?
Oh, 3 seasons. There we go. So
this
go over to the left. Go to the left.
I did that. And then when I did that, it's gonna play. Oh, okay. See, I pressed the button. That's my fault.
All right. So episodes and more.
So
Season 1. So does it go down or up though? Because
I think that it doesn't say anything. There's nothing there. Oh, season 3, season 2 trailer.
So I think, so that was probably the last, because Netflix changed that too. It used to go one way, and then some shows now they'll go down and then up, and then
this isn't the same what season it even is.
I know that's what I'm saying.
Oh, you know what? I know. I think I know.
So I think it's this, and then it goes down.
Yeah, I think this is season 1.
And then if you go to season 2, it'll go up another 6 or whatever, or
I
whatever.
think you're right.
So, and that's the
these are
trailer. That's the last episode of season 1, I think. Stolen.
Do you want to do like the first season, the last season?
Go with first. I mean, start with the beginning, I guess.
Oh, wait a minute. It moves itself. Season 2, season 1. Oh, look at that.
Yeah. So it goes down.
So why don't we just do make it easier for ourselves? Because we don't forget. We should do the first one on top.
That's season 3.
Right.
I mean, I don't care.
Well, we just done with the episode.
I've never watched any of them.
Me either. I mean, do you want to do it in order? In case we like doing it, and we can do it.
Well, that's what I was thinking. If we want to come back to it,
right.
You know what I mean? That way we go.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking that. I was thinking this.
I mean,
you're right though.
We may not ever come back, but if we do, you know what I mean?
So we'll do the woman in white. So let me put it on here. That's what I've been doing. I've been saving. Instead of just keeping 1 million episodes, instead of making new episodes, I've been just deleting the one and replacing it with the new episode. If you see me,
I notice you play with your mouse a lot while you're doing this shit. Yeah.
This is why the screen is bigger, because I'm always messing around. Yeah, I can't sit still. I have a mental disorder, I swear.
Yeah, I have a tough time sitting still.
We put it to haunt you doing. What the hell are we doing?
I have a tough time sitting still myself.
So we can just even say we're just gonna do an episode and talk about it, and then we can, like we watch it or whatever, and then be like, maybe how would we attack it, or like boy, can you imagine doing that investigation, or like talk about like how would you feel we're in that situation, as a family? Just give our personal views.
Yeah.
And talk about the episode too. We can maybe do them both. See what happens. I mean.
Yeah, exactly. I'm actually excited to kind of watch it now that I haven't.
We can even do that, or what we could do, because what I've been thinking about doing recently is like where I watch something, go on our Geek Show and do a review of it.
Yeah.
We can even do something like that to try it out, or we can do it as an episode of the podcast. What do you think? Do it as a podcast, see what happens. Reviews anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll stick and something will take off.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
So we'll do the Woman in White. Let me put season 1.
Season 1, episode 1.
So it'll be episode 29. Jesus. All right. So we're 38-17 in.
38-20.
Yeah. So let's end this. All right. Let's see. Okay. $38.45. All right, guys. Thank you for listening to our show today. If you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. To subscribe to our podcast, www.podpage.com, The Ripper Paranormal Show. And join us next week. We're going to do an episode of The Haunted on Netflix. Do something different. Talk about the episode and see what we think, what you guys think. And we'll have some fun. So join us next week for The Haunted, Season 1, Episode 1. So thank you for listening, and have a good night, kids.
Thanks, guys.